Hi book besties, welcome to or welcome back to my channel. If you guys are seeing my face for the first time, hi, my name is Maya and I like to talk about books here on the internet. Also, if you guys are seeing me for the first time, this is not my usual voice that I am working with. I don't know what's going on. There's a throat thing. There may be an on the brink sickness thing. So I actually just drove through Ziggy's. If you guys can see the place in the background, it's something I like to do on my days off. You know, I like to go out and get my little energy beverage drink situation. This is what it looks like. It's the cherry blossom, and I like to get the 24 ounce or the one below the 20 ounce to get just like a fun pick-me-up, a fun little sweet treat situation. Is kind of just like a routine thing that I do. Today I do need to go to the bank, so I was like, okay, let me go get my energy drink, then I'm gonna go to the bank, and also I might find just a place to park near my at the apartment, or that's close to my apartment. Sorry, I'm not making sense. I will just blame it on the brink of sickness brain, and so I might just find a parking space and start reading, because I am participating in the Amazing Readathon, which is a competitive team-based readathon loosely based off of the Amazing Race. I don't know what that is, but I was able to look that up and figure out, okay, what is the readathon based off of, and it's the Amazing Race. So it is a competitive team-based readathon. There are 5 teams, 4 that are like playing to compete, and then 1 that is like playing to compete but like low-key. But because I am not low-key about anything in life, I just decided, okay, we're gonna go for the harder one. We're gonna join a team. And so I joined the Lore Keepers, and my team leads are Leandra from Leandra the TBR Zero and Katie from I am just finding that these readathons are actually a really great motivation for me and my reading life, and so I am very happy to be participating. And also I am quite happy that I seem to be doing like okay in terms of pacing. Like, I am behind, but not as much as I thought I would be, and I am very happy about that. So we already have a new leg, but I haven't even watched the video for that because I am still trying to catch up on the last 2 locations. I finished off the first, which was Oz, and that was the prompt to read a book with green on the cover, and that just like was so fitting. And now I really want to watch Wicked again for like the bazillionth time. I know that's not a real number, but like, let's just roll with it. Brink of sickness brain, okay? I'm gonna be blaming a lot of stuff that I say on that today. I finished that, and I got 336 points for our team for that, and then I also got 200 points for doing a roadblock for leg 2, and I was gonna get another 200 points for leg 3. However, I didn't post in time, and also life just happened. I got busy, completely forgot to do it, so no points there. So I ended off week 1 with 536 points total for my team. I think that is pretty good. That's decent for me anyway. And so this week, since we're starting week 2, we are going to try to catch up on 2 legs of this Amazing Race, and then also, if we're going by like every 3 days because there are 10 locations, or like less because you still want to like get all of the locations in before the month ends or whatever. I don't know how she's setting that up, but we have another leg that was posted this morning, so we have that to be on time, and then potentially 1 to 2 more locations for this week. So we have a total of probably 5 locations if I were to guess, 2 to catch up on, 1 to stay on time for, and then 2 that could be potential for this vlog. So that means we're gonna have to get some good reading in, and so I do have a little mini TBR situation that I am thinking of. Let me tell you guys about the 2 prompts that I know that I need to catch up on, and one is Basgeith, that is location 2, and that is to read a book with a violent word in the title. So for that, I am choosing The Wicked King, which is the 2nd book of Holly Black's series. I believe it's called the Elfame series. I read The Cruel Prince a while back. I had some interesting takes on it. And so I am now doing book 2 because I'm nosy, and also because I feel like we left off book 1 with just a cliffhanger that I felt was supposed to be the climax of the story. We're starting book 2, and I've already started book 2, and we're starting where we left off, but we're starting very interesting because where we left off and then where we start, time has taken place. And I really want to know what happened during that time frame, which is why I say, you know, make the first one a little bit longer and then add that context in, and then also market it up so that it makes sense that you have 500 plus pages for a story for adult versus 500 page for YA. So anyways, that's just my 2 cents. So we have that book in the queue. The other location that we are going to be going to is the Capitol. I have thoughts on that world. I have been very vocal about them recently, but we shall talk about this. I almost want to just like change the book that is going to be for that with Sunrise on the Reaping. However, for me, Sunrise on the Reaping is not a book that has an over-the-top cover, which is the prompt for this location. So yeah, that's interesting. But the book that I am choosing for the over-the-top cover, because that is subjective, and she's really allowing you to be subjective with it in any way or capacity. Pan's Labyrinth by Cornelia Funk, just her specifically. This is her writing a story based on the movie by Guillermo del Toro. So they are, the author is giving a nod to the director, who may also have had a hand in writing this. Over the top cover, just like in general, there's a lot going on, which is already over the top, but then you have like all of the different detailings and everything throughout, and that also is just very over the top, I feel. And then, you guys, all of the pages have just a design of some kind. Like, it's crazy. So love that. Over the top, in excess. And then also, can you get more over the top? And this honestly screams Capitol book. You know? Over the top, excessive, just gorgeous and opulent, and a little bit like, I need to look away to rest my eyes. So this is perfect. Also, what I love when I looked into the actual book, the writing and the font looks very manageable, and like I'll be able to speed through it a little bit, and I am very excited. Also, I'm just going to take the sleeve cover off because this is quite amazing. I love it. Also, it's hardback, so I feel like I can do that and just save the cover, you know, from anything that could potentially happen to it as I am reading. I mean, I would hate for this to get ruined, but at the very least, it's sturdy. And then there is another book that I would like to get to, and I don't know if the prompt for this world is going to come up, but I would potentially like to start Heartstopper Volume 5. But that remains to be seen because there is a 48-hour window where I think we're going to be able to have more points given to specific books. And I have about 3 books that are quite short, just in general, just by their nature. So I feel like I want to save those books for that. But also, like, I mean, this book was kind of a wild card. I didn't know if it was going to be long or not, but like the writing is kind of easy, not gonna lie. And now that we're out of the capital now and we're on to another location, maybe I should just save this and just start reading some other stuff. So I don't know, but I would like to try Heartstopper Volume 5, which is my prompt for a book with a romance. Although I will say, a lot of the books that I have on my TBR do have romance inside of them. In all honesty, the main thing that I should probably be looking for my book in that romance sector would be family and family focus, because that is my team's bonus prompt, if you will. So I think I need to maybe focus on that. I do think that there is a family element in this book. I think, if I remember correctly, it's vague, but it's there. And if it's vague and it's there, I'm going to use it because I would allow other people to use it for their teams. And I'm saying that because I want to use it for my team. So I will use it for my team, and then I'm not going to be a hypocrite and allow, you know, other people to like have very vague, subtly hinted at things for whatever their team prompt is. So in that respect, I think this book has family in it. I know Heartstopper does already, because reasons that I can't say because spoilers. And then The Wicked King. It does have family, but not in the right way, honestly. Which, I mean, probably makes it good and is the whole point. But I think that also would count as well. And then the first book that I submitted definitely focused on family, and I am so mad that I didn't submit it with my team bonus, but that's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. We got the roadblock, so we helped our team with that at the very least. So yeah, but that is my mini TBR. And if you got lost in the sauce of all of that, because I definitely know I already have, I am hoping to read The Wicked King by Holly Black, and this is for the prompt of a violent word in the title. This is to get me Basguide. Then I am hoping to read Pan's Labyrinth, and that is for the prompt for the over-the-top book cover. This is to get the postcard for the capital. And then I would love to read Heartstopper Volume 5. I would love to start that, and for that, that is my book with a romance. And so far, unless it's literally the prompt that just dropped this morning that I haven't seen yet, we have not gotten that location yet. But TBD on that, and we'll let you know what the location is if we get that location prior to me uploading this video. If we don't, then I'm just way ahead, and yay me, yay lore keepers, let's friggin' go. Alrighty, and that's everything. So my plan of attack for the rest of this evening, which is Monday, is to go to the bank, get done what I need to get done, and then I'll also go to the gas station to get some gas, potentially at some point go to a park or other location and read a little bit, and then head back home. I need to do some editing and scheduling, but at the very end of the evening, I do hope to actually be able to potentially read some more as well. I would like to get at least a little bit of the way through The Wicked King tonight, and whatever I do for my parked reading session will be in Pan's Labyrinth. So that is the plan. Let's see if we can execute it. I'm kind of hoping that you guys are going to be my motivator to actually execute correctly. So we got this. Let's see if we can do this. Oh. Well, now we're up close and personal to Le gas station. So I actually don't know that much about Pan's Labyrinth. I can assume that the mythological creature of Pan is featured within this story, but I didn't know how it was to take place because initially I thought it was literally just going to be that, but then I saw the video and my mom and I tried to like get it with subtitles and everything. It was a journey, okay, because we were trying to watch the video alongside of this because there was someone in the comments that said, oh, you got to watch this movie, like it's a good movie. So I was like, okay, I will definitely do that. Little did I know it was all in Spanish. So yeah, we need to watch with subtitles. But the day that I went over to go to my mom's house where we were going to start the movie, we realized that there was subtitles and I was like, I am very, very tired right now and I literally cannot just think in English, let alone can I try to keep up with this in Spanish. And also, like, it looked horror movie-esque, and my mom's not really into horror, so she was having second thoughts. So I was like, okay, well, we have the video now, but maybe watch it by myself. From the summary of the video that was there, apparently this is set in the modern world, in like more modern times, if you will, and there's like this war going on and we're following along a little girl within this war. But I just read the prologue, which is why I am explaining all of this, and turns out I don't think that this is going to be a spoiler, so I'm going to say what I'm going to say. If I find out that it is, I promise I'll take it out of the video altogether. But because it's in the prologue, I think it's fine. Apparently, there is an immortal princess who dreamt of the human world, came to the human world, had her memories erased by the sun. Although, if I remember correctly, Pan is a part of the pantheon of gods, or like in their history. So Apollo? Question mark? But she came to the human realm, forgot that she was immortal, like her memories were erased by the sun. That is exactly what is stated in here. Now she lived out her life, experienced the human world, and it like listed all of the negative emotions, and then says she died. But her father knows that her spirit is immortal, so he is waiting for her spirit to come back to him. So I'm guessing the princess is the daughter of Pan. And whoever this girl is that we're following in this story must have the spirit of this immortal being. But because it says that the sun stole her memory, I feel like in whatever lifetime she's in and her spirit comes back to, each time it's not gonna know that it's immortal. But there's something about this one life that may bring her back to her father? Question mark? So I'm intrigued. I think this is awesome. I also think this may be like slightly confusing for me because again, I think Pan, I think Faun, I think Greek myth, Greek Roman myth, because they kind of merged together at some point. I feel, I mean, that's probably wrong, but like it feels like we have merged them together, at least in modern times. And so I'm confused because it says the sun stole her memory. So does that mean Apollo? Like, are we going to be introduced to Apollo? Are we going to be introduced to these other gods? Is this a completely different world? And also, we're apparently in a realm of the modern world that is not American. So, and not to say that everything in the modern world is strictly America. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just like, I'm used to the retellings, the reimaginings being modern day in America. So this is very interesting. I like this take. I'm not mad about it. I am just like very surprised, a little confused, trying to piece things together a little too early because that's just how my brain works. But I'm very excited, cannot wait. So let's continue reading. What? I am so intrigued. We're following along our main character, Ophelia, and we are introduced to her by way of a car ride. And her and her mother are going to meet this new man that her mother is marrying, and there's a lot of feelings and emotions there. But on the way, her mother gets sick, so she has to pull over on the side of the road to release some things. And while she's doing that, her daughter finds this stone, and on the stone there's a carving of a human eye. And she then looks up, and from this carving of a human eye, she sees this creature just like protruding out of a tree basically, and then it disappears at her mother's voice. But the creature that she saw, she labeled as a fairy, and it's really not that, but like that's the closest thing that us mortals can call it. And so this creature was sent by her master, and only her master knew her name, because in this world, if you know the name of the creature, then you own them, like, completely. So this is giving like Rumpelstiltskin, but like with Pan. And I'm pretty sure, I could be totally wrong, but I'm pretty sure the master is Pan. And I'm pretty sure this girl, obviously, is the immortal princess that had died, and now her spirit is living inside this girl. I'm intrigued. But also, like, the writing style in here, like, can I just, like, direct our attention to a quote? Like, it's not even, like, necessarily overly relevant, I don't think, but it got me. So the quote says that her father had died just a year ago, and Ophelia missed him so terribly that at times her heart felt like an empty box with nothing but the echo of her pain in it. Another was her mother's voice was like a broken bell. And then it describes books and what they mean to her in a much similar way. I am not going to try and find it right now because my phone is yelling at me for low storage. But the writing style, the storyline, the structure, the world building, like, oh yeah, this book is good. Hi guys, good morning. I hope you guys can hear me. I am officially over the brink of sickness into the sickness territory, if you could not tell by my voice. But I'm here because I just could not update you guys on Pan's Labyrinth. Oh, this book is so good. The setup, the storyline, the merging of the worlds, it's so beautiful. I love when a world, a magical world that is supposed to be myth within the book, and the quote-unquote real world of the book, when they meet, that they meet seamlessly. It's believable. It's told in a way that feels original, if that makes sense, because like there is nothing new under the sun that can be written or said, but it is the way in which an author can write it or say it, pretty much the same sentiment, and how well they can say it based on their experiences with this world. I think this book does it really well. And honestly, the storylines, the way that this, okay, can I just say the way that this author tells like the most basic of descriptions in such a poetic almost type of way, because it's not even poetry, it's just the vibe is poetic. The vibe is very flowy and ethereal and magical even within the writing. And I love that because we are dealing with myth. We are dealing with something that isn't supposed to exist. And also, I didn't know how Pan was going to be tied in at all, to be honest, because, you know, I didn't think that he was a king of anything. Like, I knew he was a prominent figure. I knew that he was used in a lot of tales. I knew that he was, like, in and around different things, but I didn't think he, like, was a king. And the story started off with like, okay, there was a king whose daughter, Princess Moana, wanted to go to the human world, wanted to see the sky and the sun. She found access to the human world. She lived in it. The sun took away her memory and she experienced the human world. Although, and I said this before, it was focused on like the negative and like the pain and the struggle and all of that. I was like, well, that's interesting that it's focused on that because, oh, sorry, baby. Oh, sorry, baby. Oh no, books are now falling on you. I'm so sorry, my apologies. You're just gonna have to hold fourth wing. Sorry, baby. Circe by Madeline Miller kind of deals with this too, where the gods don't really know pain or struggle. Not only is it something that feels taboo, this is something that feels like it is a genuine fear of the gods. I am so sorry for the lighting, by the way. There's natural lighting going on right now through my window, and I can only guess that some of it is whatever shadow this book has and me always using my hands, but then also there has been birds just like congregating near my window. It's a good time over here, okay? It's a little concerning because I know that cats are prowling the area, so I'm just like, I just don't, for the love of everything, want any leftover carcass. That's all I ask. Anyways, sorry, that was morbid. Back to something less morbid, but also kind of morbid, but the gods seem to act as though pain is something that they have never experienced, will never experience. Like, the most that they understand as humans is anger and jealousy, infidelity, betrayal, but like pain, physical pain is this like illusion to them. Meanwhile, all of us humans, we feel it, experience it on the daily, and we're just like, physical pain as opposed to whatever is going on in your immortal life. Sign me up for immortality, please. And it's hilarious. I think if the gods were truly honest with themselves, they probably would want to be mortals, because it's like, sure, you have an immortal time, sure, you experience pain and whatever, but like, we can actually endure it. You guys can't. And we show up and show out when it comes to that for you guys, which is something so simple. Meanwhile, the worst that you guys have to deal with is petty arguments and jealousies and everything, and like silver tonguing your way through a court. Sign me up, basically. But anyways, where was I getting off? Anyways, I feel like in every Greek myth retelling, Roman myth retelling, any sort of myth retelling, it's almost like the gods don't understand pain, and that's where like humans shine, to be honest. And so to kind of like just read it point blank, I was like, well, dang. Okay. And so, anyways, to get back to, so she experienced that. She dies in the mortal world, but her father knows that she's immortal, so her spirit still remains. And I feel like her spirit has been reborn many, 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 many times. I just don't think any of them got as far as Ophelia has. And so now her spirit is in Ophelia. Ophelia does not know this, and she comes from very sad background. Like, I don't even think that she, from the way she is described, is much older than teen. Like, just barely turned teen. Maybe at max 14, but I feel like she's like 10 to 12 right now. Did it say it and I just didn't read it accurately? Yeah, I don't think we're told her age, but I did find the paragraph that describes her mother's age, and I kind of want to read this to you guys because I think this is very telling of this story and kind of gives like the biggest context that I ever could for this upcoming part, which is what I was going to get into anyway. I think I saw a fairy, she said. Yes, that's what the creature was. Ophelia was sure. But her mother wouldn't listen. Her name was Carmen Cardoso, the mother. She was 32 years old and already a widow, and she didn't remember how it felt to look at anything without despising it, without being afraid of it. All she saw was a world that took what she loved and ground it to dust between its teeth. So as Carmen Cardoso loved her daughter, loved her very much, she had married again. This world was ruled by men. Her child didn't understand that yet, and only a man would be able to keep them both safe. And then it continues. Ophelia's mother didn't know it, but she also believes in a fairy tale. Carmen Cardoso believed the most dangerous tale of all. The one of the prince would save her. And like, that does sum it up. So we're following along Ophelia as she and her mother are going across country and probably state lines, I'm not entirely sure, to go see her mother's newest fiance. And Ophelia describes him as the wolf because she sees life by fairy tales. She believes that these fairy tales have taught her more about life than her mother ever could, and quite frankly, in some cases, I would say I can see where she got that sentiment. And this is so sad because she's seeing her mom, who went from viral, full of life, dancing in the kitchen, making breakfast, to sullen and sickly and just gaunt and depending on this man to help her, a man who everyone knows doesn't like women, doesn't like weakness, doesn't want anything more than the son that she is carrying. And even he says about the son that a man does not have a legacy without a child. That's freaking messed up. So this is the man that Ophelia's mom is marrying, and they're going to meet this guy, and on the way they have to stop on the side of the road so her mom can just relieve her stomach because of the sickness. Ophelia just walks around, sees this, what she thinks is a stone, and it actually is, but it's more than that, and there's a human eye on it. And instead of being freaked out, throwing the stone away and quickly running to her mother, you know what she does? She sees a fairy, or what she considers to be a fairy, just kind of like chilling. And she starts talking to it. I swear, kids have no fear. She just starts talking to it, asking it questions, and the fairy can't really speak human, so it does its little noisy things, and just kind of she interprets it accurately, I guess. And so she is enthralled by this fairy, and she's about to follow this fairy wherever this fairy is going to lead her. Her mom calls her, probably for the better in this moment, and she takes the rock with the human eye with her and goes to her mother. And we are introduced to the wolf. And I already kind of gave you a good synopsis of him with his view on women, his newborn son, but we start to learn that this place may be the worst possible place that this woman, Ophelia's mom, Carmen, could have ever brought her daughter. Now, she married this man not for love, not even for like, but just to feel safe in a world, quote unquote, run by men, as I just read. Ma'am, I hate to break this to you and to be the bearer of bad news, but in trying to secure your daughter's safety, you probably just signed her death sentence. Because this man does not like women. He is tolerating you for your son so that he can have a legacy. My guess is that once this son is old enough and doesn't need a mom, because we all need both parents, once he does not need that, according to the father, I'm thinking he's just gonna, both of them. Yeah, real secure, ma'am. Real secure. You know, I say that, but I can't even judge her for it, because in this world, this man is just ruthless, and we see his ruthlessness in the very act of him finding people who are hunting on his grounds, sees a piece of literature that should not be there, according to him, as an opposing force that he's fighting currently. And then, actually, okay, you know what? Pause here. If you guys are not okay with graphic violence of any kind, I would suggest skipping this portion of the video, editing me. This is the time where you really have to pay attention and you really have to shine with this, and you need to put the timestamp of after I say this warning, okay? Or, let's do that, but then also just to remind ourselves, I'll put a little something right here. Well, what do we want? What are we thinking? If there's a little fairy, we'll put a little fairy here. Yeah, that's the best I got. Maybe a crown, something. We're gonna put an emoji up here. Something having to do with man. And if you see that emoji, I am talking about the graphic violent scene. If you do not see that emoji, I am no longer talking about it. And I feel like this may be a very sensitive one because I was so shocked when I read this. I guess trigger warning on that one. I don't think I've ever had a trigger warning on my channel before, but here's the first one. This man saw these two intruders, a son and a father, both like malnourished. Hadn't eaten in a while. They were claiming they were hunting rabbits, so they were poaching from the borders of his territory, or what he calls his territory, okay. It didn't belong to him initially, he just kind of came in and ransacked the place. So, technically, they're just poaching the poacher. Anywho, sees these two in front of him, delights in their fear. The little kid doesn't know to shut up so that it doesn't make it worse for him. And he doesn't. The father is sitting right there. He's trying to not anger the wolf, as we will call him, but he's also trying to like divert attention onto him so that his son doesn't get the worst of it. The man grabs a bottle, glass bottle, just rams it right into the son's eye and keeps going. It crashes and splinters into glass and he keeps going. None of his men interfere. The father's cries, it literally says this in the book, and this like breaks your heart a little bit. The father's cries are louder than the son's, who this is happening to. And as he's watching this happen to his son, the man pauses in the gouging out of the eye, flesh everywhere, blood is how it's described. Takes out his gun and shoots the father. And then the son is still alive and struggling, trying to figure out what's going on with his eye. And he shoots him in the chest too. Emoji over. So this man is not good. Okay, that's the man that we're dealing with. But we are learning that maybe he is immortal. He also has a vendetta against this land, but I don't know who owns this realm necessarily, because remember, Ophelia is a princess of an entirely different kingdom, and they are trying to bring her back with certain, what's it called? Like entrances and doors from their realm to let her come back when she can. So this isn't her world, this isn't her realm. She was born into it, yes, but this isn't her realm. So there's another player at play here. And then there's also this wolf who's leading the charge for his vendetta, his territory, and it's a revenge thing. Like, he literally says it's a revenge thing, but we're not entirely sure what the revenge is. It's very, like, intriguing. Listen, I'm having a good time with this book. Like, despite all scenes and like the fact that you just get mad at certain things, it's so good. And then also we get introduced to one more character. I do need to talk about this one. I also need to talk about the creation of the portals. Okay. So we get introduced to another character, Mercedes, and she is a servant of the Capitan, is what he's called. Like, his real name is Vidal. But Capitan is what they call him. Like, no one dares use his name for fear of, well, worse than the violent scene that I described. So this girl, I genuinely don't know her age. Like, I know she's a young woman, but she seems to have this girl-esque quality, if that makes sense. Like, she's a young woman, but she has the young girl appearance. Anyway, she's here, she serves the captain, has seen more death than she knows what to do with at her young age, my goodness. And she is also a spy for the rebels, because her brother is a rebel. But she seems to be the one that Ophelia trusts, and I'm glad, because it looks like Mercedes, of all of the characters, is going to be the one that I'm going to want to have safety and redemption. Like, I fear that there's going to be deaths of characters that I don't want to have deaths, because there always is, but she is like the one character where I'm just like, you are not pure, you're not innocent, but like, your intentions are pure and innocent, if that makes sense. And like, I want to preserve you for those reasons. Am I like... That was English, right? That makes sense, right? So, you know, there's that for that character. Now let's talk about, like, the world that this girl comes from, allegedly, apparently. If she is indeed the daughter whose spirit, like, is in this little girl. And it is confirmed. But, you know, where we're on in the story right now, when you learn about the portal to the world, oh, it's so sad. There is an entire other parallel plots, because I don't think it's a subplot. I think both of these are going on at the same time. But there's this parallel plot of what happens, like how the daughter was slowly morphing into mortality, but like her spirit was still eternal. However, the king heard of her doings, but then heard of the son taking away her memory. I almost said the curse, but maybe it is. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think it is, so I'm not even gonna like claim that as fact. But the son took her memory. He heard of that, and he also heard of her death. And throughout that time, he believed that her immortal spirit was going to encapsulate in someone. And so he was just like, okay, we need to make sure that she comes home. We're gonna create ways for her to come home, but also with certain images that would like spark her memory and make her want to come home. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And also, the queen is also alive, apparently. So there is a king and queen. Like, at first, we only hear about the king, but allegedly there is a queen. So, okay, cool. So, both of these parents pose for this particular architect, designer, artist, person whose work can take on more than just like the sculpture that he provides, basically. The sculptor. Okay, there we go. I was trying to find the right word. So they hire him to create these like portal doors almost. Like, I don't know if it's the actual portal to get there or to lead her home, but to construct certain images from faces and people that she might know and put them up into the real world, human world, okay? And so from underneath the ground in their kingdom, this artist sculpts whatever. It's usually the images of the parents. It rises up through the earth. Like the way that it is described, it's almost like the earth comes around the sculpture and brings it up to the human world. That's kind of just like how I'm picturing it. I could be totally wrong in how that works, but somehow his work goes from their ground to above ground, and that's how that works and manifests, I guess. So these are everywhere, and for some reason, every single lifetime, even if they were seen, they were not recognized. And so the artist feels like personal responsibility to bring this princess home. And he's like, okay, this is my last chance. This is my last piece of art. Like, I am not going to live past this. So what he does is he goes to Pan, and he says to Pan, and at first we don't know this is Pan, but he goes to the fawn of the court, the one that has the most sway over the king, who is bound and determined to do everything to get this princess home. So clearly there's a loyalty there from the fawn to the king. And we don't know what that relationship is, but he also holds a lot of sway over the king, so we don't know what that relationship is at all either. You can speculate, but we don't know it yet. But there is a close relationship there, and he is bound and determined above everything else to bring that little girl home. And the reason that you know this is because this architect is just so beside himself. This sculptor, this artist, is so beside himself, and he feels like it's a personal failure of his that he just never brought his princess home, that he goes to this fawn, and he's just like, I need you to do something for me. It might not even work, but this is the last thing that I can do to bring this little girl home. The fawn drops everything, cancels all of the meetings, all of the important things, and he was an important part of that court. So you know dang well he had loyalty to his king to bring his girl home. And he sat for the sculptor. It took 3 days. He was able to take his creation to the world, and it was a lifelike being of this fawn made of tree and wood instead of rock, because trees hold memory, as he believes. And so this creature just roams the earth, and by the time this artist dies, the creature knows, and it feels heartbroken. And around this entire time, he has not been able to find this lost princess, and so he remains basically sedentary. Is that the right word? Still, for years. And then in a last ditch show of rage, before he just like stays still for years, ages, he plucks out his rock eye, human looking little eye on the rock, and tosses it. What does Ophelia find? A rock with a human eye. And the fairies in question, since there are like fairies or little woodland creatures going around, they are in the service of Pan himself, or of the creature. So I don't know, maybe of the artist, I don't know, but it is in Pan's likeness, and the master is said to be very temperamental. So we're gonna assume that because the word is used, it means he's still alive, therefore Pan, which is what the creature was made to look like. So yeah, they're in service to him, and the fairies found the little girl. They saw her pick up the human eye. They now are leading her to the creature that was made, and the creature that was made finally moves and speaks, and he's just like, oh, finally we have found her. here's what you need to do. You need to go through a list of things, of trials, basically, in order to get back to your father. I love that. In every single myth, there's always the trials, right? It's like, you were born into this, and you would have had just the easiest life if you just stayed. But because you decide to side with mortals, we are now just putting you through the gauntlet. Gee, thanks. Are we that bad? Anyway, don't answer that. So that's the story. That's where we are. I am so excited. And in other news, I have found out our next location. And our next location, I am very happy with, is the Shire. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. The prompt for this particular destination is to read a cozy book or an easy book or just, you know, something that's light, something that's comfy, cozy vibes. I'm reading Charlotte's Web by E.B. White, and it is so tiny. It is a kid's book. It is so tiny. I could probably read this in one sitting today, which is great because I'm sick. So I'll probably do that today, but I also have other things that I'm doing. Like, I need to edit some things, schedule some content things, and do all of that. But I am definitely going to be getting to this, and hopefully I'll be able to finish. And then also I'm going to be reading this. We kind of took a detour. I was supposed to read this, go back home, eat dinner, do all of the things, and then read The Wicked King, but I was kind of like dying. So the only thing I didn't do last night that we didn't check off the list was reading The Wicked King. But also I was like exceptionally invested in this, and I would say got a good chunk of the way through. So I'm not mad about it. But yeah, that's what happened. That's the story. That's the update. And now I am going to try and film a wrap up. And if I could do it now, my voice won't have a chance to get worse. So that's the thought process. That's the ideology. If I truly cannot do it, I'm not going to force myself to do anything when I'm sick. But I genuinely want to do this wrap up, and I haven't filmed it yet, and it's going to be quick. It's going to be easy. So I'm just going to shut up, turn off the camera for this vlog, turn on the camera for that video, and then we'll see what happens for the rest of the day. But yeah, that's the update, and can't wait to talk to you guys in our next one. Okay, bye. Guess who's back again. Hi guys. So I am in probably a delirious mood right now. I am sitting right outside of Ziggy's. I got me my midday drink, even though I literally filmed a video this morning and told you guys, like, I have passed over the brink of might be being sick to actually being sick. And also, quite frankly, not gonna lie, there is a part of my respiratory system right now that is a little concerning to me, but we are working through it. And not like working, but like we're enduring what needs to be endured for the sake of living life. And I just thought, like, even though I feel like so completely just like out of it, that I was gonna go out into the world and getting Ziggy's and my energy drink, the cherry blossom, which I now know is cherry, lime, and vanilla mixed with their energy concoction, which is like ambrosia for me. I thought that would be a good excuse to get out because I do need to feel the sun on my skin. And it's actually so interesting because I live in AZ. It's freaking hot out here. I walked out of my apartment and literally was met with a gust of wind that was so hot. I was just like, how is this even possible? How does something like a gust of wind have such a contradictory temperature? Like, what in the world? That's neither here nor there. I have done a lot today. I'm actually very happy. I filmed, edited, and created the thumbnail and scheduled the video that I wanted for tomorrow, so I don't have to edit a different one, which I am so grateful for. I filmed quite a bit of content, short form content, for my short form platforms like TikTok and Flip, so that is nice. And then I uploaded some stuff on TikTok and Flip, and I have a bunch of batch filmed content already for tomorrow to upload. and then hopefully I'll get a little bit more bits and pieces for some short form that I would like to do for TikTok specifically. I'll still cross-post it to Flip. I know it's not going to do the best, but I enjoy this content, so I'm going to make it regardless, and that's going to be bookish content. Now, it does do very well on TikTok, don't get me wrong, but I mean for Flip, and Flip is where I get my coin. And then I also have this one app called Kale where I do short form content, post it to TikTok and Instagram, and I get money through there as well, and that also provides quite a good chunk of money too, so I'm like not hurting in those departments, and it's actually really cool. Also, I am 1 follower away on TikTok from 100 followers, which is so cool. I am hoping I don't get 100 followers until I am able to secure a little party blower thing. Like, I know that that is contradictory to what people want. They're like, let's go, let's grow. And I'm just like, nope. Pause the brakes. I am having one of those party blowers if it freaking kills me. And it just might. I would love to start doing live streaming, but I'm not going to think about it this month. If anything, I will try and find a way to do all of that and add more next month, not this month. This month is already a lot, so we'll see what happens there. I love how I'm just going off on a rant of all of that, but yeah, I did content things today, and then I also did some chores, believe it or not. Like, I started some laundry, still need to finish said laundry, but I started some laundry. We are working within the time frame that I can do that. Got in my HelloFresh order, so I'm going to be cooking some meals tonight. It's actually not going to be HelloFresh tonight. I had meals that I didn't want, but I have the ingredients for a casserole, so I'm going to make the casserole tonight. On top of, I'm also going to probably at least do some heating up of some things from HelloFresh that were already pre-prepared. They just need to be heated and put in to-go canisters for meal prep and easy lunch making. And then tomorrow I am hoping to do a HelloFresh meal, like an actual meal that HelloFresh sent me this time. So that's gonna be a thing. I did my, what is it called? I did my assignment for this leg. So this new leg is the Shire. I already told you guys. Love that for us. But we had our little like activity that we needed to do for this leg, and that was to spend 30 minutes just really taking care of ourselves, getting off of social media, doing something we enjoy, and then submit and log that time, the 30 minutes, and then also what we did for those 30 minutes. For me, I actually freaking took a nap, and that was great because like I did some stuff and edited some things, and then got so tired, like my lids were so heavy that as it was exporting, I was just like, I'm just gonna lie down on my bed and see what happens. Conked out. Next thing I know, I'm up, I'm like getting some lunch and finishing up all of the behind the scenes stuff, like the SEO stuff and the thumbnails and things like that. And I did a little bit more short form filming for batch filming, so that was really nice. It's been really nice to be productive but also have slow days, and it's so interesting how like it takes me being sick to actually listen to my body and take care of it. Tea, I guess. But now it is evening, and now we come out to play, because now we have really like finished most of what we needed to do for today. Obviously, like I said, I was going to cook the casserole and stuff, but that's casserole. Just literally toss things into a pan and put it in the oven. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to start laundry, I think. Maybe. Or we'll just put off laundry until tomorrow. I have 1 load of towels that I started and that need to dry a little bit longer. But yeah, maybe we'll just like put laundry off to tomorrow. It's fine. I'm sick. That's my excuse. Tonight is all about the reading. Yes, we are out of the house. I'm gonna drive to a park that's close to my apartment, and we're gonna read a little bit more. We may be able to do the reading vlog style that I was able to capture yesterday, but also when my phone had low storage and then it was just me reading, I tended to read faster and more. So maybe just keep the camera off and I'll just update you guys, or just like show the reading. But I did bring 2 books. Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. This is going to be such a fast-paced read, hoping I don't jinx myself on this. Hopefully I get to finish all of this in this sitting. I did bring a second book just in case. I wanted it because I am very invested in the story, okay guys? And that is Pan's Labyrinth, and this is the prompt for the capital. We have 2 really good books though, and I'm gonna go and see what book calls to me. But first, let's actually get to that parking space.
Off to a false start, running in the dark, slipping up, tumbling down, laugh it off. Turn on the lights.
We need to discuss this. Why in the world is it 10-year-olds armed with a rifle and a dagger? I remember the rifle. I don't remember the dagger. That's frightening. Also, he's 10. And I can only imagine just the potential for wounds. At this point, it's not even about what the 10-year-old would do with it and any sort of intent behind it. It's literally, how would they accidentally hurt themselves? That's my question. That's what I'm concerned with at this point in time, because he's 10. All right, I don't... Could 10-year-olds have malicious intent? For freaking sure. Do they typically? Not really. So all I'm thinking of as I'm staring at this picture right here, look at that. He is armed to the teeth for a 10-year-old. It's breakfast. He looks freaking tired. He looks exhausted. He looks like he has only slept 3 hours on average, works over 10 hours every single day, and still has to go to school and do his homework. You know what I'm saying? So don't ask me how I know that specifically, okay? And why I came up with that specific example in that specific scenario. We don't talk about Bruno, okay? That's what he looks like. My first thought is this kid is gonna accidentally stab himself. He is holding it the right way. I will say that though. Look at how well he's holding that. That's pretty good. Like, you always need to keep the blade away from you. That is the key. But seriously, that boy looks dang tired. Anyway, sorry, that just whole other side tangent. I just forgot that this was in the book. But like, why are we giving exhausted looking kids weapons this early in the morning? Also, poor Wilbur. He was about to get the axe, and then he got brought into safety, only to see a kid with more weapons of destruction, and he's just like, I can't get a break. I can't. Poor little piglet. Anywho, let's continue reading. Why is this quote so relatable? Wilbur says, "I'm less than 2 months old and I'm tired of living," he said. Why do I feel you? Why do I feel you, Wilbur? I feel a connection to a pig, a fictional pig. This is what's happening with my life right now. Okay, we're continuing on, but also I'm gonna turn off the camera so that I can save my battery. Okay. Glad we had this talk. Okay. For a second there, my camera just got like so dark, and that was very concerning. I was like, I don't think it's a natural light. There's still light. Anyways, I have gotten about 50% of the way through Charlotte's Web, and yes, I have a receipt as a bookmark, and yes, it is likely 2 times larger than the actual book itself. We don't talk about Bruno. Honestly, the cashier and I were both like so surprised. We looked at it and we were just like, that is so long, because literally all I got was the energy drink and then the water. So like, it shouldn't have been that long. Last I was talking to you guys, I said I was going to turn the camera off to save battery, and I did, and I got further along into the story, and then for some reason my lids were just so heavy, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna take another power nap. Took another little power nap, woke up, and started reading again, and now I'm about 50% of the way through the book, and though I would like to finish it, I do need to use the restroom, and though there is a public restroom at the park, I would much rather just drive right back to my apartment and use my own restroom. Thank you very much. And then also, I am probably more than likely just gonna go out to my little balcony area and read there. I probably won't be able to set up the tripod for any reason, because I just don't want to do that. I just want to like chill. Like, I have enough good angles, I have enough action going on in this vlog that I feel like I don't need to film every little single thing of today. Plus also, this day was a lot of like batch filming for short form content, and that meant like filming everything, and I do mean like practically everything. So, except for when I was using my phone to edit. So there's that. Anyways, I have gotten further along in the book, and I just forgot this really awesome memory of the reason I love this book so much and why I was so proud to read this book at the age that I did, because I heard like as I was reading it that it was supposed to be a level up for me, and I was just like so proud and so happy when I turned in the book report to Mrs. Anderson, my first grade teacher, and was just like, I read this. Also, that it was a reread at that time, and we read it in circle time, because there would be a time prior to something like getting back into class, like there was this really big break, probably lunch. We got back from lunch and she would have us sit around in a circle. That way we can all listen and focus on a story, and that way it's not like heavy learning time right after we finished eating, but it is something that stimulates the brain, calms us down. We also had like readers already picked, and that was like something that was a reward, you know, back when kids liked reading and use that as a reward in class. So we would have someone who would read, and we would all sit around and we would enjoy that. And Charlotte's Web was one of the books, but I just remember being so happy that I was able to read like these just big important words. I was just like, I can read this, or I can read that, and I was always so proud to go up to my mom and be like, I learned this word, or ask the question, like raise my hand, hey mom, what does this word mean? And she would talk to me about it, and like that was the thing that we just bonded over. Like one of my first and earliest memories of just bonding with my mom was 1, learning flashcards and vocab words, and then 2 was reading. Like that was my life, talking and reading. This channel, its existence. That's what I enjoyed, that's what I loved. So yeah, I'm so happy to be reliving those memories again, and quite frankly, just as like a comfy cozy activity, I think I'm gonna ask my mom for our next movie night if we can watch Charlotte's Web while we Avada Kedavra some Death Eaters. The juxtaposition there is quite ironic and hilarious, but it sounds like a nice evening. And then also too, she's just like a cook and a baker, so I'm just like, eating good, having great entertainment, and having some bonding time with my mom. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. So I don't know if we're gonna be able to do that this week. I am like feeling very under the weather right now, even though I have some stuff at her house like for packages and stuff. I'm just like, not this week. We'll do next week, and we will plan something a little bit more out, because I do like to contribute a little bit and bring like a side or an entree or some drinks or activity suggestions, just so I could be able to contribute a little bit now that I have some monies. That is the update so far. So we're at 50%, we're doing good, and I'm sure to finish this by this evening. We'll be talking to you guys tomorrow though, because my voice is going out, and by the time I get back to my house, it's gonna be around 8 p.m. and it's just too late in the night for that. It's like, okay, wind down time, don't need to talk time. And also, just my breathing in my throat is not doing well, and my body is starting to ache a little bit, so I'm like, okay, time to go home. So it was nice though. It was nice to just kind of chill and relax and vibe and read and not have anything else to do today. So that was nice. You guys are my excuse, so thank you, love you. Heading out now. Hey guys, sorry, I'll scoot closer so that I don't have to project my voice too much. This is the first time I am speaking since Tuesday, and Wednesday I did not speak at all. I was able to make sounds, and that was about it. So we're really getting sick over here, and it's fine. However, I did want to address the fact that I have finished a book. Question mark? Who is she? And that book was Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. This is for the postcard for the Shire, and the prompt for that was to read a cozy book and or like an easier read. So this was what I submitted, and I believe I got 200 plus points. This is what I actually got. Also, I did my activity that we had to do for the collective percentage, but we didn't get that, so that doesn't count. We also had another roadblock, and that was to post a picture with our current read, which at that point in time was Pan's Labyrinth, and I did do that. So I got an extra 200 points, and this was the post that I made, and I'm actually very proud of it. I really liked it. That was everything I did yesterday, because I know I had caught you up to everything previously to Wednesday. So we did all of that Wednesday. We also did a lot of editing, so that's nice. And we also did a lot of sleeping. Like, I slept so much yesterday, and it was honestly really nice. I did feel bad because I was unable to go to my small group, and that is the place that like makes me feel so good after I go. And I was unable to go, so that was a little sad for me. However, I needed the rest and the sleep. Like, I would not have been okay. So stayed home and rested, which is probably what my body needed. So I'm glad I listened to my body for once in my life. And so now we are on Thursday, and we just got a video message of our next destination. And this one has me so confused. Like, I have no idea what this is in reference to. Everyone else seems to know. So if you know what this world is, help a girl out if you can in the comments. Like, try to explain to this old Gen Z certified millennial about this movie, because I have no idea. Okay, listen, I'm not trying to offend any millennials in here. If that is like your generation's movie, I am so sorry. Or world, I'm so sorry. Do not mean to offend. I am just geriatric in general for whatever era I'm in. So anyways, that's beside the point. The prompt for This destination, though, is to read a book with a chilling cover. I'm going to read Pet Sematary by Stephen King. Oh my gosh, I could spell my name with cemetery. Okay, well, I'm going to start reading this book today because we're on this lake currently, and I wouldn't mind trying to see if I could potentially get this book in with its own leg. But being though that I want to be choosy with my destinations, obviously so far I have destination 1, which is Oz, and I needed that because Wicked. The other destination was the Shire, and I need that because The Hobbit. I mean, I would even say Lord of the Rings, because let's be real, Legolas was the first one that I noticed, like in the Lord of the Rings when I watched those movies first. But like, Fili and Kili had my heart. Like, okay, so, and I love how none of them are hobbits. So I'm just like, yeah, I want to go to the Shire. Meanwhile, like, none of them ever really stepped foot in there except for a spunky, adventurous hobbit who needs to be taken with them. I'll be that. I am short. I'm short enough. I'm 5 foot. I mean, my feet aren't that hairy, but give me some time. I could do that. Anyway, I don't even know if that's even their type. Moving on from that weird scenario. So I have essentially 3 books that I can pick from for this weekend. I highly doubt that there's going to be another location before I wrap up this vlog. So we have 3 books to choose from. I need to choose wisely. I need to not only choose for the sake of the destination, but I also need to choose for the sake of my team. I love how I'm holding up this book because, quite frankly, I want to read this one, honestly. So we're gonna take the sleeve off because it's gorgeous. I mean, this is also still gorgeous, but I can cover it up with the cover. And we're gonna bring this one, I think, to work because I really don't read that much. Like, even if I have the time, I still need to read more, obviously. Yeah, plus I'm about a quarter of the way through this book, and for The Wicked King, I am less than a quarter. So I think that just makes sense that I finish this book. Because this is the top. This is the back. Look at how gorgeous. Like, so over the top. For no particular reason, but I absolutely love it. And now I am going to get a drink for my throat and sign off because this has been the longest I've talked in a little minute. So, see you guys for an update.